Hollywood. The Jack Benny Program. With Jack's special guest, Lawrence Welk. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Mr. Lawrence Welk and his champagne music. I must tell you that your music is just wonderful.
What?
I said your music is wonderful.
Jack, I'm afraid I don't...
Oh, of course, I'm sorry. I meant to say your music is wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you. You know, everybody mispronounces that word.
Yeah. But I must tell you, Lord, that really it's wonderful having you and your fine musicians on my show.
Thank you very much, Jack.
And you know, I've been listening to you for a long time. You've had quite a career. I mean, what do you attribute your such a long success, standing
Well,
success?
Jack, there are no doubt many reasons, but I think the main reason is because we never went in for that wild, far-out music.
Far-out music?
Yes, like Guy Lombardo and Wayne King.
Or Sammy Kaye.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, but, really, you have had, and I've always loved your theme song. Such a beautiful theme song. But where did you ever get the idea for those bubbles?
Well, Jack, to be honest, that came about by accident. It was during the days of my one-night stands back in the Midwest. We've been out on the road for about 6 weeks. And one night, just as we started to play, I looked up and there were all the bubbles coming from behind the brass section. And Jack, it was beautiful, really beautiful.
It was, huh? Well, where did you get the idea?
Well, really, from no one. The trombone player was doing his laundry.
Doing his laundry?
Yes, well, thanks to a pair of dirty socks, I got $1 million trademark.
Well, that's wonderful. But listen, everybody... But you mean everybody in the band, they do their laundry on the stage?
For the next 5 years, we were known as the cleanest music this side of Pismo Beach.
Well... Yes, I'll join you. But You know, Lawrence, of course, in those days, every orchestra, they had a sort of a slogan, you know. And, like, for instance, I remember even Phil Harris, when he was with me in radio, he was known as Phil Harris and his International Orchestra. International meaning that he was as well known in San Diego as he was in Tijuana. But, Lawrence, may I call you Larry?
Call me anything you wanted, Jack.
Okay. Well, Lawrence, look at the, you know, I want to tell you something. I hope you won't be offended at what I'm going to say.
No, go right ahead, Jack.
Well, you know, this thing of conducting an orchestra, leading an orchestra, that's a sort of a racket, isn't it?
What do you mean?
A racket? Well, I mean, there's nothing to leading an orchestra, isn't it? Isn't that just a racket? I mean, here you stand there with a stick like this, you know, and you're going up and down. I mean, if you had a hammer in your hand, at least you could be building something. Or cracking nuts. But just to stand there with the stick up and down, I think anybody in the world can conduct an orchestra. I don't mean just you. I'm not trying to insult you, believe me. I think anybody can conduct an orchestra.
You mean anybody can lead an orchestra?
I think I can lead an orchestra. I'll show you what I mean. May I have your baton?
Sure.
Just a second. Now, will you just stay over there?
Okay.
I've never directed an orchestra before in my life. I want to show you there's nothing. Fellas, you ready? I want you to hear this. Just 1 second. All right, boys. A 1, a 2. All right, they played a joke on me. They ran off. All right, fellas, you can come back. You played your little joke. Come on back. Come on back here on the stand. All big, funny men. Come on. Got your joke over. All right. Now, look at Lawrence. Now I'm going to show you what I mean about conducting the orchestra. They were kidding me before, you know, running off. I'll show you that it's easy to do. And we're going to play, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to repeat that number, row, row, row. Ready? A 1, a 2. They were just tuning up. Ready, boys? A 1, a 2. Boys. A 1, a 2. Look at, I can't understand. Now look at, they followed you all the way through. Why wouldn't they follow me?
Well, Jack, you see, they have a certain loyalty to me. After all, we've been together for 30 years.
Well, I know. Well, what's the drummer's name, the one that was loyal to me?
Benedict Arnold.
It is not. Now look at, Larry. You know, you sound like you're ad-libbing. Listen. I must admit that when I asked you and the boys to to come here to do a show with me that I had an ulterior motive.
You did?
Yes. You know, years ago in radio, when I was in radio, I wrote a song, a very beautiful song, you see. And for some reason or other, it was a ballad. Nothing ever became of it. I took it to some of our greatest publishers. They couldn't do anything with it. I took it to Dmitri Tiomkin to get one of his arrangements. Nothing happened. I even took it to George Burns, and he refused to sing it.
Well, didn't that help?
Not at all. Now listen, but I'm sure, I'm sure that with your orchestra playing it, it'll do something for this number.
Well, Jack, I'll be glad to do anything I can, but I'm kind of surprised. You really wrote a song?
I wrote it's a ballad, a torch song. And I wrote the words and the music.
What's the title?
Well, wait till you hear the title. It's beautiful. When you say, I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. Now, Lawrence, I'll bet you've never heard a title like that before, have you?
No, I haven't, Jack, and I've been in the music business for 37 years.
Thank you. Well, look, I happen to have a copy of it right here, you see, and I just want to sing these lyrics to you, and then I'm sure the minute you hear them, you'll want to do this with your orchestra. It'll be a big help. Listen to the lyrics. They're every bit as good as the title. Now, read it. Now, listen to this. When you say, I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. When you ask me to forgive you, I'll return. Like the swallows at Serrano, return to Capistrano. For you.
Wait a minute, Jack. Wait a minute.
What?
Serrano.
Yes, that's a little town in Italy.
And the birds flew all the way from Serrano to Capistrano?
That's right.
Well, that's over 10,000 miles. A swallow couldn't possibly fly that far.
Look at, what do you belong to, the Musicians Union or the Audubon Society? But Jack, now listen to this, will you? Listen to the rest of this. When you, stop laughing at me. When you say that you are sorry, then I will understand. Near the harvest moon we'll pledge our love anew, our love anew. So, my darling, though we've parted, come back to whence we started.
Whence?
Yes, whence. That's a poetic form of the word where.
But, Jack...
Look, if you can say wonderful, I can say whence. Now, listen to this finish. If you can say no. So my darling, though we've parted, come back to whence we started. And sweetheart, then I'll come back to you. Now, Lawrence, you'll have to admit, that's a beautiful song.
Jack, if that's a beautiful song, I've been hit on my head with one bubble too many.
Well, you can't tell by my singing it. I think your orchestra should play it. Really.
The orchestra?
Yeah.
But, Jack, fortunately, my men don't have the music to this song.
Oh, fortunately. Well, I'll tell you what I did. I put the music on their stands, and they know nothing about it. I'm going to give it to them now, and we're going to play it. Then you'll see how good it is. Open the curtains. Up. Now, fellas, look at it. Turn the page. You got my music up there. When you say, I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. That's the number right there.
I can't find the part.
Oh, it's number 13, Benedict.
But, Mr. Benny, I'm the concert master.
I don't care. This is my song. Now, get off. Looked like he swallowed Mickey Mouse and left the tail sticking out. Give me A, will you please? A.
say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. When you ask me to forgive you, I'll return. Like the swallows at Serrano, come back to Capistrano.
That's a
For
little
you,
town,
my
isn't it?
heart will
I didn't
ever
ask you.
When you say that you are sorry, then I will understand. 'Neath the harvest moon we'll pledge our love anew. So my darling, though we've parted, come back to whence we started.
Whence? That's a poetic form of the word where. Now sit down, we'll finish this.
Wait a minute, Jack.
Ha!
Jack, that whole arrangement isn't any good, and the song must be improved. Come over here. Let me talk to you about something.
Oh,
with this
for
song.
heaven's sake, it was going so beautifully, I never... Pardon me, Mr. Arnold.
Jack,
What?
you know, I have an idea. I believe we might be able to salvage this song if we would put it into a polka style, which is more our style of music.
You mean my beautiful torch song into a polka?
Uh-huh.
You think it would work?
Yes, let me show you what I mean here.
Well,
Boys,
maybe,
put that up
maybe.
here.
I don't know. Let's try it.
Okay. 1, 2. Everybody come up and dance.
Emma, you take Mr. Benny. I've got Mr. Wonderful.
Jack will be back in just a moment, but first...
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed the show. And now, once again, I'd like to present my guest star, Lawrence Welk. Lawrence, I hope you'll be on my show again.
Jack, when you say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you.
Good night, folks. I'll be seeing you soon.